Hey guys, it's Nathan from the Kentucky Cycling YouTube channel. Welcome to the next Zoom interview in the Kentucky Cycling Connection series. I'm excited to introduce my guest today, who is Josh Harris from the Dr. J Mtb Youtube channel. Josh, welcome.
Glad to be here. I appreciate you having me on.
Great. I just thought we'd start with some personal kind of background questions, get to know you stuff before we launch into questions about what you're doing with the channel there. Why don't we start out just by asking you a little bit about yourself, including how you got into mountain biking?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to really just being a small child and first learning to ride a bike. And I could remember watching my dad pop wheelies in the yard. And at the time, it just felt like he could ride an indefinite wheelie. And I could remember probably 6, 7 years old for sure, trying to emulate that. And I guess he took notice because he got me a motorcycle when I was 9 years old. And it seemed like every day at school, I was thinking more about that than I was, my schoolwork. And it's a thousand wonders. I actually graduated the 8th grade. But in the 7th grade, we started going out to the local state park there in Crossville, Tennessee, and mountain biking on the hiking trails. There were no actual bike trails. They were super rough. It just basically was one continuous route and rock. What's turned into a lifelong passion for me of being on a mountain bike. So it really goes back to a young age, but specifically the 7th grade when we started riding those really rough hiking trails.
So there's, I guess, some transferable skills between your motorcycle riding and your mountain biking, and I'm assuming at some point you started getting some air. When did that start happening for you?
There's guys that really ride motocross, and that was never me. I mean, we were just riding trails and around the farm and things, but there was always a rock or a hill to try to get more and more air on. I can remember getting scolded by my dad in the 8th grade because we were going a little bit too big in the rock in the front field on four-wheelers and motorcycles. I'm 34 now, and it's just, I've got a ramp in my yard. Like the neighbors, I think, probably think I'm younger than I am, maybe, or however you want to take that. But yeah, it's not something that leaves you really, or it hasn't me anyway.
Well, cool. So you mentioned that you're from Tennessee. How did you make your way north to Kentucky?
My wife is a healthcare provider, and she actually, for residency, did her residency here in Somerset, Kentucky. And so I actually took the opportunity to start an outpatient physical therapy clinic here in Somerset. And so we've been here for 5 years now. Really enjoy it.
So you mentioned that you're a mountain biker. Do you have any other bikes in your stable that are non-mountain bikes?
It's a weird thing. Kona bikes are not really known for their road bikes, but I have a titanium Kona road bike. I think it's about a 2017. It's one of those bikes you couldn't get rid of. It's just really, I've enjoyed it. I actually picked it up on a really smoking deal. I don't do a ton of road biking, but it's one of those bikes that when you ride it, you enjoy it sort of things. And I'm about to build up a steel frame hardtail, but I spend most of my time on a Santa Cruz full suspension 29er. That's kind of where I'm at currently.
So you've got, is that 2 bikes presently with a third that you're eyeballing?
Yep, third one in the oven.
Cool. And what kind of bike is that going to be?
It's a steel frame Kona Hanzo 29er. It would be actually the third one of those that I've owned. Big Kona fan for a while now. Actually kind of introduced that brand to the local shop here in Somerset, and they find it ironic that I'm now riding a Santa Cruz primarily, which I also really like. Working on bikes has kind of become a labor of love, which I think has spurred along some of the video endeavors, which I think is how you kind of, made your initial contact with me, and just enjoy working on them. And when I have the opportunity, building another one to my wife's disdain, it's, she might like me to slow down at times on that, but it's fun.
That's a common issue. No worries. So I don't know if you've ever had occasion to visit Broomwagon Bike Shop in Lexington. They're also a Kona dealer, and they've actually made up some stickers that are say Kona Tucky, which is pretty cool. I've actually got one in my car. Yeah. So if you ever have occasion to get up to Lexington to Broomwagon, make sure you grab one of those Kona Tucky stickers. I'm sure you'd like that. Since you are a mountain biker, I'm curious to know what is both your favorite Kentucky trail and also your favorite mountain bike trail without regard to location?
Anywhere. Yeah. So, I mean, call me crazy, but I really enjoy our local setup here at Pulaski County Park. I'm sure you at least have some familiarity with it. I didn't notice it being on your Trail Gnome series, but we got to get that on there because it's a pretty well-rounded experience. I can never remember if it's 12 or 15 total miles that we have now, and it kind of feels like it. I mean, there's a lot of variety. It's a great place for beginners to learn on. I tell everyone, especially being from Tennessee, it's not a very rough trail, but it's got a lot of flow. And I think about a year and a half ago, we're able to secure a grant and get some additional trails built. And so we actually ended up with a sort of a downhill jump line trail that we call High Roller. And then we've got two trails within the older trail system, High Line and Low Line. And they're roughly a mile each of just really good flow downhill trails. And then, just all the other really good cross country riding mixed in between. That for sure would be my favorite Kentucky trail.
Before you speak to what your outside of Kentucky potential trail is, I'll just say that it is definitely on my radar. I've heard really good things about, I guess, what's called the Eagle Scout Trail there. I've actually got slated for the first weekend in June to get together with Aaron Denny to do a Trail Gnome tour ride down there. Of course, we've had a lot of rain, so we'll have to see. Does that trail drain very well?
There are people that say that it do, but as one of the maintainers of the trail, it does kind of hurt your feelings because it gets rutted up pretty bad with the mud. I've seen worse, but I've certainly seen trails that drain a whole lot better. We have isolated areas that we're still trying to kind of work on, and so it's kind of middle of the road, I guess.
Yeah. Well, so I'll just say there is definitely an intention to hopefully get down there in a couple of weeks, assuming things dry out a little bit, and if not, just as soon as I can, I hope to get down there and ride. So, what is your favorite trail overall?
Yeah, so I mean, I've ridden Washington State, Oregon, Canada, all through the Southeast. I think this is a really hard question to answer.
If you want to name more than one, that's okay. We can cheat.
We really enjoyed two trips to the Grand Junction area in Colorado, and they have, I think they pronounce it Kokopelli loops, basically. And there's a pretty relatively famous trail, if you look it up on YouTube, called the Horse Thief Bench Trail. And it kind of runs along the Colorado River, and it's really technical, kind of getting down and accessing it. And then it's just, I don't know, it's super scenic. A lot of the rides out there are really scenic because their vistas and panoramas are obviously, really expansive. And so I've enjoyed that area for sure.
Okay, that's cool. That's one. Did you want to name another?
We go to Brevard, North Carolina quite a bit, and you just can't beat the Sycamore Cove Black Mountain Figure 8 loop there in the Pisgah National Forest. That's probably the touristy answer for that place, but it's when you go down there, it's hard not to ride that little Figure 8 loop there. It's really, really good time.
So you're showing that you definitely are an air guy. I'm much more of a wheels on the ground kind of guy. When I think of that area, I'm drawn to like DuPont State Forest, and I dip my toe in over at Pisgah. I have not ridden Black Mountain, that trail, and I don't have any plans to, but I've heard really great things from people who seek out more technical riding.
Let me be clear. I'm talking about lower Black Mountain Trail, and it's definitely it's technical, but most skill sets could ride it. And you just kind of do the lower section, and it's really nice. But you can't beat DuPont either. I mean, it's just such a good trail ride. We don't neglect it when we go down there either, for sure.
Oh, it's an awesome area for sure. All right, man. Well, so turning our attention to the Dr. J, and am I saying that right? Dr. J Mtb, is that how you refer to it? Tell us a little about the Dr. J Mtb YouTube channel.
So really, YouTube for me started, I guess, 2 or 3 years ago is strictly an avenue to share some of the trip edits that I've done with my wife and with my family, and you can still see some very what would seem out of context videos at the bottom of the list there, just from where we've taken a trip. I've tried to video throughout the trip and then created an edit, And that originally for me was a means to sort of capture those trips and to be able to kind of relive those and share them with friends and family, and then kind of developed a love for editing videos, through the process. And, then being a physical therapist who predominantly treats people for aches and pains, I do work with athletes and even other cyclists and runners and whatnot. And it kind of started spurring me to have this idea, I would love to develop more of a niche of working with cyclists. And so I came up with this idea quite recently. Actually, COVID-19 crisis has prompted me to take the time to do the Biking with Pain series, where I basically am trying to hit the high points of what I feel like a lot of cyclists are going to deal with from an aches and pain standpoint. And so trying to utilize that niche of what I know as a physical therapist, and then, my passion for mountain biking and cycling in general, and knowing kind of what the stresses and demands of that are, and just basically trying to combine the two.
Well, I'll definitely say that first video in that series is got a lot of attention quickly, and so I think you sort of leapt forward in terms of your presence with that series, and it was really well done. I mean, the comments on the video are just really complimentary, and I think it speaks to a lot. It impacts a lot of people. So I think it's really cool that you're taking that your sort of professional background and pairing it with this passion of cycling, and speaking to an area that I'm sure is going to be beneficial to a lot of cyclists.
Well, thank you. And I hope so. It's still kind of a work in progress on, if you ask me, what is your mission statement for your YouTube channel? In short, that would be it, is to kind of combine my passion for mountain biking with the physical therapy aspect. But it's a work in progress. I've quite enjoyed my install videos. By far my most popular video is just a simple dropper post review and install video, and so I'm going to still play up on that aspect as well. I've really enjoyed the mechanical aspect of mountain biking, especially much more recently. I've tried to take a deeper dive into suspension setup and really trying to optimize your ride experience through, upgrades and different things. So I'm trying to kind of carry people with me through that experience as well. Really just recently, again, mostly through being forced out of work for a while through COVID, I've tried to become a more regular content creator. Up until a few months ago, it was just kind of an every now and then thing for me.
Well, that's cool. So you've got some sounds like some how-to videos, and then you've got this pain series. What other kinds of videos have you made so far on the channel?
I've got some ride videos on there, and that's kind of a developing work in progress of still learning how to establish decent content. I'm still trying to, figure out how to deliver good video and good audio at the same time. And I'm kind of I don't know if I would go quite to the level of perfectionist, but if I take a trip to, say, Baker Creek in Knoxville, and I don't enjoy watching myself back, I don't put a video on it. So I've got all sorts of ride videos. I don't just sling it all on YouTube, but if I'm going to do it, I try to deliver an experience that would help people know what's there and kind of what they could do with their skill set, because I feel like where I'm at as a mountain biker would be relatable to a lot of people. And so I'm trying to bring more ride videos, especially as we kind of open up to be able to travel again, and hoping to really ramp that side of it up too.
Well, good deal. It's okay with you, I'd like to actually bring up your YouTube channel and kind of take a look at that. Before I do that, I want to ask you about this title of Dr. J. So Dr. J for me brings, connotations of like Julius Erving, basketball player. So do people call you Dr. J in terms of your practice, or is that a title that you've taken on yourself? Tell me about Dr. J.
That's me sitting around trying to come up with a catchy Instagram handle, basically. And Instagram is a pretty new venture for me as well. But, I wanted to, in the name, and I did this with my business too. It's Somerset Spine and Performance Physiotherapy. I named it physiotherapy because it kind of has a little different connotation than physical therapy. And I wanted to encompass with the name, like, I mean, there's a lot of biking, obviously. I mean, it's a big thing on YouTube. And so I wanted to be able to capture that there might be something additional to it with that. But yeah, to answer your question, no, I just go by Josh in the clinic. I am a doctor of physical therapy. And so it's not wrong for me to do that, but I'm also not a physician. And so I just go by Josh in the clinic.
All right, man. Well, I won't look for you to have like a killer jump shot or anything like that.
No, it's not a basketball reference, as much as I would like for it to be. I'm 5'9", 5'10" on a good day, so that wasn't in my cards for sure.
Well, and you mentioned Instagram. So you want to speak to where people can find you guys on social media?
Dr_J _MTB on Instagram, and that'll help you find me. Same name on YouTube, and then Facebook. You actually reminded me what the actual URL is. If you just search on Facebook Dr. J Mtb, you'll also find it there as well.
All right, so let me share the screen. We'll take a look at this YouTube channel you got going on. Okay, so we've got your YouTube channel pulled up here, and I've just selected it by playlist so we can kind of see how things are looking. And so just in terms of where you are today, and I expect this number has probably grown recently, but you're sitting at 191 subscribers. Talk to me about the different playlists you got, and then I want to take a look at that how-to video that you mentioned, and then point people to the Biking with Pain series as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a very modest channel at this point. I only had about 49 subscribers, I think 3 weeks ago, before that biking with back pain video. And I just dropped the biking with neck pain video early this week. And I haven't done much yet because I was trying to land on a thumbnail that I actually liked. Finally got that done last night. So I'm going to try to kind of promo that biking with neck pain video here, in the next few days. But the ride videos, that's a collection of, like you can see the first thumbnail, that's White Oak Mountain in Chattanooga, outside of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Really great, overall trail experience. That's, I like that ride video. It's not been abundantly popular because there's a lot of guys down there and they, that were able to get there before me, so to speak. And then you can see Baker Creek Preserve, which we make a lot of Friday or Saturday trips down to Knoxville and the Baker Creek trail system. And being an East Tennessee guy growing up, we were riding what most would consider just the South Knoxville trails early on, way before Baker Creek and the official like downhill trails were there as well. And then you can see Cumberland Mountain State Park. That's a throwback to where I grew up there, and they've actually recently added legit mountain bike trails. And so that's, hopefully an up and coming place for people as well. And then you can see a couple of my actual like ride reviews of a few of the places that we've been out west as well.
Cool. And so this is your install. So your seat post one, is it this one? Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to me. So you had close to 12,000 views on this particular video alone. When I did the interview with Pedaling Dave a few weeks back, he has a similar experience. He did an install, and he had, his best performing video is like that too. So I think a lot of people must look to YouTube in terms of that how-to. I definitely do that as well. So it's not surprising. Are you tempted? Does this tempt you to want to do more installs or
I don't know if it's the install part or if it's the more on the product, because I also have this one categorized under the product reviews. Okay. I think a lot of people are using YouTube to know if, spending this $200 on this dropper post is worth it or not, and what someone else's experience with it. So I try to be really honest. If there's something that I don't like about something, I've obviously encompassed that as well. But then there is the obvious, for the home mechanic that's never done a dropper post before, that's kind of the sort of the niche that I'm trying to hit. It's like, I'm talking to the guys like myself that are having to learn as they go. And so, yeah, between the two, and yeah, I am tempted by that. You know, the unfortunate part is I'm obviously not sponsored by anyone, and
Right.
don't plan to be, but so you have to buy the stuff yourself. But as I do that, I definitely am trying to get that out to people. So like you could see there a couple of I've got one of the newer RockShox forks, and there's been some new updates to those that are actually really cheap, and then just basically along with that doing like the basic maintenance and trying to bring that to down to my level basically, because a lot of the videos you see are kind of, you can tell it's done by a pro bike mechanic, and they may leave out some of the stuff that, hey, I don't know how you got to from A to B. So
Yeah, cool. Cool. All right. What about some of the, so you got some product reviews here. Sorry about that.
yeah, no, I mean, just simple stuff at this point. Like there's my tailgate pad that I'm using on my Jeep truck, and then I've got like a full face helmet review, and then those pedal and flat mountain bike shoe videos kind of shot up on me. They almost kind of relit the fire for me, like the pedals one, especially. I kind of thought was a relatively unpopular video, and then it just kind of seemed to get, you know, a lot of views fairly quickly. And so it sort of, this tailgate pad one is not done very well, but that's kind of a small niche thing. So
So
yeah, I don't know.
the flat pedal shootout, is that what you're talking about? Or yeah.
Yeah. Like it, I don't know. I was kind of hanging out at like a couple hundred views a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
and then it really shot up there on me. So I don't know. I'm gonna try to keep doing that when I can, for sure.
Yeah, cool. So how does Bike How To differ?
You know, I don't have any except for this one on the Zwift mountain biking, and I felt like I was able to break down like how do you access the mountain bike trails on Zwift.
Okay.
My goal for this is going to kind of tie back into the main mission statement of the channel, though, and I'm going to start trying to do like how to jump, how to manual, how to wheelie, and almost tie in, you know, my knowledge, for lack of a better way to put it, of body mechanics through what I do as a physical therapist, and actually, as I say, try to really bring it down to a fundamental level so that people can understand what they're needing to do with their body to do a decent manual. And as you're riding into a jump, you know, what are the body mechanics? And so that's what I'm hoping to have plugged into this actual how-to. I think when I think how-to, I'm thinking about skills, whereas, you know, putting stuff on the bike, I'm going more for installs, basically.
And then last but certainly not least is this guy. So that's your newest video there.
Yeah.
And this is, I assume this is your practice here.
Yeah. We were
probably
really
not a lot of opportunity to do manual down the hallway or wheelie down the hallway.
Yeah, I was pretty nervous for my walls on that one, but after about 5 takes of that, it fortunately came out unscathed. So yeah.
Well, good deal. So the one that you actually have, so this just went up on May 2nd. I mean, that's you know, fair number of views, and I, like I said, this is where I kind of noticed you, and you know, I look forward to kind of looking through some of the other content on your channel. But I would definitely encourage people to take a look at this this video, because it, you know, gets into a lot of your you know, professional expertise here, but in just including, you know, how things you can actually do, not just exercises to alleviate pain, but things, postures and positions and things that you can actually do on the bike while you're riding to help address some of those issues.
Yeah, and I specifically wanted to really include the mountain bikers. If you look at a lot of the neck and back pain videos on YouTube, it's almost always tailored to road biking, and that's well and fair. I have many friends that are road bikers. Like I said, I dabble with it myself. I work with them in the clinic, and the tips that I provide are plenty applicable to road biking. But I wanted to really bring in the mountain biking side with these videos, and so hopefully I've been able to do that.
Is there anything else that I haven't asked you about that you'd like to share with the Kentucky cycling audience?
I've enjoyed the conversation for sure. You know, I'll kind of do a shameless self plug. I mean, like I say, my end goal is to bring awareness to the greater community that, you know, hey, I am a physical therapist that works with athletes. I'd like to consider myself one. And so feel free to reach out to me. Telehealth has kind of been a big thing through this COVID crisis. And I've really ramped that up. And I feel like I'm able to evaluate someone remotely that may be having, you know, some pain issues, and then have a skill set with hands-on treatment as well. If you're, you know, close enough to the Lake Cumberland area, I would just really love an opportunity actually to work with as many cyclists or other types of athletes that may be watching as well. And then come and check out PC Park, mountain biking, as you called it, the Eagle Scout Trail. We'd love to have you down.
Do you ever do any gravel biking in your area?
I haven't much. I did the Boondoggle 45 last year,
Mm-hmm.
which sure had a fair amount in it. I don't just specifically go seeking that. I've enjoyed it every time I've done it, but no, I haven't really taken a huge deep dive into that.
There's an area there in Pulaski County, which is around the Mount Victory area, and there's probably 50 miles or so of gravel riding to be had out there, and it's all forest roads, and it's as so far. I mean, we've been exploring, and I haven't ridden like out in Land Between the Lakes yet or anything like that out in the western part of the state. But out of all the places I've ridden so far, it's probably my favorite gravel riding, and it's right in your backyard. So just to throw that out there.
No, that's good info. That's a nice area, I know for sure. So I could see where it's pretty awesome.
Well, very good. So I'm going to say thank you for being on. I'm very glad to make this connection. We look forward to watching your channel grow, and looking forward for check out your neck pain video and for the other installments that you do. As somebody who has dealt with back pain in the past, I know I appreciate it, and I know other people who will benefit from this content as well. So that stuff in particular, but also the other stuff you're doing as well, and really happy to have you as part of the tapestry for Kentucky YouTubers who are out there and producing content. It's fun stuff.
Let me just take a moment to say too, thank you for, you know, trying to integrate that community and building awareness for Kentucky cycling. It's a pretty cool thing that you've got going on there too. So I'm grateful to be on your channel today, and I appreciate you having me on.
Very good. Thanks again.
All right, Nathan, thanks.
Thanks again to Josh Harris from the Dr. J Mtb YouTube channel for being a guest in the Kentucky Cycling Connection series. If you enjoyed this content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and be sure to stay tuned for more Zoom interviews in the coming weeks.